Good morning, everybody. Now, I am not here. It's Thursday morning because I am participating in an activity that, for me, I'm probably not going skiing, but the rest of my family is going skiing. So I am engaging my prefrontal cortex based on a part of what I get for myself, which is, oh, you're getting older and you're not as skilled as you used to be. We'll see whether or not the hills over in Vermont are different than or Connecticut are different than the ones over in Colorado or no Utah, wherever it was we were last time, Colorado. And I went,
Colorado.
absolutely not. I'm not doing this again. This is like absolutely not. Mm-mm. I don't need a broken hip. I don't need a broken pelvis. I don't need to do something to myself. So today we're going to talk about situations where, something happened. And the something that happened is a head injury, closed brain injury. And these things happen more in general to younger people, but they do happen to just about, it can happen to anyone. It's called an accident. And these closed hinge injuries could be things like strokes, but they can be impact, or they could be shrapnel, or they could be. So, closed head injury means it didn't, like, there wasn't an opening, but damage was done, sometimes to both the bone structures around your skull and your brain. But in some cases, there was no skull fracture, but there was brain damage. And so when that happens, there is bruising, there's swelling, there can be tissue death, there can be destruction of tissue. You can also have a movement that's called contracture, where the front bangs and then the back bangs. And so what happens is your brain is nestled into your skull, and I'll show you like a little sample brain here. This is the front of your brain, and this is the back. There's your cerebellum, which is that little brain that's down underneath. We talk about that. And then this is where your spine is anchored on. So this area down here, and these are your this is the part that keeps you going. Even this inner brain is the part that keeps you going even when you're unconscious. If it stops, you'll lose out. But that's super important that this part is working. Now, the thing is, this front up here is like the front office. Now, we do have a what we were talking on Monday about the idea of these mini posters, and we have a mini poster here that talks about the cortical brain. And then it has one little bit that does reference inside the brain, which is that primitive brain, that more basic brain, limbic system. So we're going to take a look at the front part of the orange section, because when we have a motor vehicle accident, when we have an accident with where we fall, this is a very common place. The prefrontal cortex is a very common place to make contact. So it's sort of important to know what happens up in that prefrontal. What's it in charge of? So here's the thing, it cannot actually take in data from the world like many of the other parts of your brain can. So your temporal lobes, which are the green parts, they actually can take in audio data from the cochlear nerve. Okay, they take in the audio data of the world and they put it into your brain. And so you're then able to process what you hear. Back in the back, the purple section, that's the occipital lobe. That's where your eyes take in data. There are pathways from your eyes. They're nerves. It's called your optic nerve, and you've got an optic chiasm, and the fibers go back and they go to that occipital lobe, and therefore you are able to process what you see. And then up top, both the blue section and the good part of the orange section is the wiring between your body and your brain. So your brain and your body talk to one another. Sensation comes in, all kinds of sensation, so that you know where you are, you know what you're doing with your, you can know what you feel, you know whether it's dangerous or not. Is it sharp? Is it dull? That's all happening in this part. But then you get all this data and you have to figure it out. So that's where your prefrontal comes in. So your prefrontal is the part of your brain where all the information gets sent after you receive it. So it takes data from the occipital, from the temporal, from the parietal, and it's taking all that data, and it has six jobs. And so we're first going to go over real quick the six jobs, and then we can imagine what happens if you have damage in that area. So the six jobs, the first one, whoa, whoa, it helps you control impulses. It says, ooh, 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 don't do that. That's dangerous. Don't do that. That causes problems. Don't say that. Don't touch that. Don't. And it's based on experiences or control that's exerted by someone else over you, but you have to agree to it. So you're like your mom may say, don't touch that. But your brain still has to go, mom knows best. Yeah, probably shouldn't touch that. But if you're curious and you see something and you really want to do it, if you lack prefrontal cortex, you'll do it. And even if you get burned, now, typically, the second skill of the prefrontal cortex is to take what happens and make sense of it. And so you reach a logical, rational, reasonable conclusion based on the data. So if I touch the stove and I burn my finger and it hurts, guess what I typically wouldn't want to do again?
Yeah, you will. You're not going to do that again. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what learning is. Unfortunately, if I have damage there, the color of the bright stove light, the thing that it is, it's so fascinating. I don't have the ability to control the impulse. So I have problems with my thinking and my logic and my impulse control. And no matter how many times I say, I'm sorry, I won't do that again, guess what? I probably will if you put me in the same circumstance without the guardrails. Now, the third thing that the front part of my brain allows me to do is make that decision, choose. I can select from among many options when I'm a mature adult. When I'm younger, I'm not so good. Go faster, not go faster. Put on the brakes, don't put on the brakes. That light's yellow, I should probably, oh, there's a car in front of me. Oh, okay, I'm going to slow down and stop versus trying to get through the yellow light. I mean, all of those things, that decision I make based on what I care about, what I value, what I know, what I've learned, what I believe in. So if I start making decisions or choices that are inconsistent, what might that mean, Matthew?
I'm trying to. I mean, there's some changes happening in that
There
area.
are
There might
changes
be some
happening.
changes happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So after a head injury, that could be an acute episode until there's healing. However, if it starts cropping up again later on and you haven't had another head injury, what you might be seeing is the onset of a new phenomenon in any of these areas. So I've gotten recovery and I've had some healing. Now, the fourth skill in the front of the brain is super important because it makes life doable. It's where I have all this and stuff. I've made a decision. I'm going to go get some breakfast. I initiate going to get the breakfast. I do the thing in the right order. So I go in the refrigerator, I get the milk, I get the cereal, I get the bowl, I put the cereal in the bowl, I put the milk in the bowl. Oh, I put those things back in the refrigerator and then, or in the cabinet in the refrigerator. Didn't even say that right. And then I get a spoon and then I take the bowl and the spoon and I go sit at the table and I eat the cereal. And then when I'm done eating the cereal, I initiate the new task of I don't
Whatever's
know,
next.
whatever
Yeah.
comes next. Are you going
Hopefully
to
it's
wash the dish or what's going to
yeah. Bring
happen?
the bowl. Yeah. If you're hopefully your teenager not like mine, but my teenager has trouble sometimes with the transition or the
Mm,
termination part, which
yep.
is bringing the bowl to the sink and all of that stuff. So.
Yeah. 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 So it gets us from thing to thing. So if I stand there and I say, what do I do now? Or I'm still sitting at the table and you're like, what are you doing? And it's like, well, I don't know what I should do now. That idea is there's problems in the prefrontal cortex. Now, the fifth skill, now this one's a super important one. So turn a hand toward you, look at yourself in the mirror. This is you looking at you, and you go, okay, this is the situation I have. The bowl's empty, it's dirty. What do I do? Oh, yeah, I know. I'm capable of washing a bowl, drying a bowl, and putting it away, and the spoon too. I can do that. So I say, okay, I've got this. And then I could initiate
Yeah.
and do that. Here's the thing, I could be thinking I can do that, but I don't realize, but you've been in a motor vehicle accident and you can't use your right hand anymore because it impacted how well you're able to use your right side. And so you go to get up and you drop everything. And it's like, what the heck happened? Or I fall. So this is where my sense of what I can do is based on previous life experience and what I could do before and what I think I can do. But what I may not be do is accurate with I'm good to do this or I need some help. And so I may not be seeking support or help, and I may think I'm fine, or I may think I need help when in fact I'm capable of doing this. Like I can do this. And then the last skill in the prefrontal cortex is the ability, everybody gets a point of view. I have one, you have one. My ability to recognize, oh, your point of view is different than mine. Well, let's see, what do we have in common? This. So if we can figure that out, we can figure out how to work together. If we can't figure that out, we're going to butt heads. So it's called empathy, the ability to see, different perspective. Okay, well, let me take that data in and see what I want to do with it. So if someone has been in a motor vehicle accident or has another reason for a closed head injury, um, and we see these kind of changes, it means the front of the brain is not doing its job. Now, if the person was a young person to start with, they may not have had full wiring into that area to start with. And so it's sort of like they seem immature, they seem like they're childlike. And it's like, well, they may very well seem that way because the in point or the wiring could be damaged. But with recovery, perhaps we'll see a return of some of those functions. But if the tissue was massively damaged, we may never see a full recovery. Um, but we shouldn't see a worsening after the initial injury and recovery period. It can take up to years for recovery. However, we shouldn't see a downward spiral, an inability developing again. If that's the case, we got to get curious. We want to figure out, could this be one of our delirium, depression, anxiety, dementia? Oh, we wish it wouldn't be. But it turns out for about 50% of people living with having had a head injury, 5 to 20 years post, something happens. And the damage that was scarring, that was problematic, is starting to come back, only it's starting to precipitate what we would see more as something that's progressive and different. So it's worth really exploring, though, because we don't want to assume, we want to assess. And so our goal with these little posters is to start raising awareness and knowledge so that we can figure out with some skill what can we do that makes a difference. If we can't fix something, can we support someone? Do we need to develop some new skills, some personal connectors that are positive that could make that work? Could we start some positive action starters? Can we look at environmental modification? Can we look at what's coming in, what's not coming in, and make some different choices on our part? So we hope that this poster could serve you well. And again, it's a very simple set, 15, that help us look at a variety of things and allow us to start connecting, communicating, asking questions, being curious. And we think that makes all the difference in the world. Let's take the cover off dementia and brain change, and let's start getting curious with one another, whether it's hang him in the bathroom, hang him in the hallway, hang him in the lobby, hang him in, just keeping him in a folder
Mm-hmm.
and laying him out on the desk. It's a thought. Maybe that's a different card game we can play.
Oh,
Ooh. Till next time, take care of yourselves, take care with your care. And I hope this is helpful for the friend who asked. Take care, all.
thank you, Teepa. Bye, everybody.